225 years ago, poet laureate William Wordsworth wrote about nature and its relation to the morality of mankind. He wrote about a place of immense beauty, a place that has attracted tourists from all over the world. Tintern Abbey in Monmouthshire, Wales, has remained popular for several years for its beauty and serenity, as well as for the poetry it inspired. But it's not always been a tourist hotspot. In fact, it was an active monastery for 450 years. Now in ruins, covered in ivy and foliage, it represents the contrast between tradition and modernity in British culture. Today, I will provide you with historical background on the establishment and dissolution of the Abbey. Then, I will walk you through the geographical and poetic impact on tourism. Finally, I will explain its overall cultural significance. According to the Tintern Abbey Guidebook by Cadw, that is the Welsh Government's Historical Environment Service, the monastery was founded way back in 1131 by Cistercian monks. The building was then mostly rebuilt in the late 13th century in stone with intricate architecture as we see it today. But it was then ended in 1536 during the dissolution of the monasteries as a result of Henry VIII's decision to break away from Catholicism. After its dissolution, the lead roofs were sold and Tintern Abbey quickly began to decay into ruins. Since then, it has become a very popular tourist site, even since the 18th century. During this time, the peaceful scenery and natural aesthetic attracted Romantic poets Samuel Taylor Coleridge and William Wordsworth. According to Joseph Cottle's early recollections chiefly relating to the late Samuel Taylor Coleridge in 1837, he almost fell in a quarry while touring around Tintern Abbey. Additionally, the famous poem, Lines Composed a Few Miles Above Tintern Abbey, by William Wordsworth, he writes of the symbolism of the area, as well as self-reflections on nature and morality. In addition, several famous painters from that period in the 18th century as well have depicted Tintern Abbey from various angles. Some of these painters are Francis Town and Samuel Palmer, and their work can be found on the BBC Arts website. So this poetry and art continues to attract several tourists today. Something of 70,000 a year visit Tintern Abbey. There's something almost spiritual in the magnificence of both the structures and the nature of the area. And this is why it's such a popular site. In addition to its beauty, however, is its deep history and cultural significance. The end of the monastery and its decay is representative of the transformation of British culture. First of all, Tintern Abbey symbolizes the significance of nature in British culture. It represents the effects that nature has had on the British people throughout history. There's always something a little bit different about the way they view nature, and you can see this as time goes on throughout literature and art. It's always referencing the green or the snow, and it always has a large effect on emotion and way of life. Secondly, it represents the transformation of the social structure in Britain. This is not only just talking about how people interacted, but also religion. It represents the overthrow of the Catholic Church and the progression away from convention as time went on. And then finally, tying into social interaction is industrialization. There's more man-made structures in contrast to this importance on nature, and it's a tie-in together. And ironically, the man-made structure is being taken over again by nature, representing this cycle and importance and reverence of nature over man-made production in British culture. So today I've informed you about the history and cultural significance of Tintern Abbey. I hope that you found it interesting, and it's important to study these types of monuments because we can see how people lived in the past, and it preserves their culture, and we can relate it to our own culture today. Just as Tintern Abbey inspired William Wordsworth over 200 years ago, it inspires tourists every day. I hope it inspired you, even if just a little bit, and if you have a chance to go check it out, I would encourage that. I know I myself would like to go see it someday. Thanks for listening.